Okay, welcome back. Today, I wanted to start our little chat with some famous quotes about menopause and relationships. The first one is from Oprah Winfrey. She says, "So many women I've talked to see menopause as an ending, but I've discovered this is your moment to reinvent yourself after years of focusing on the needs of everyone else. It's your opportunity to get clear about what matters to you and then pursue that with all of your energy, time, and talent." I love that. And then another one from Dame Helen Mirren. "Life doesn't end with menopause. It's the beginning of a new adventure. Strap in and enjoy the ride." And then the last one is my favorite. "Menopause, a pause while you reconsider men," by the very funny Margaret Atwood, who also is the author of Handmaid's Tale. So how very poignant, because today, of course, we're talking about menopause, communication and relationships, and the impact that it can have, and of course what we can do about it. More recently, I've been so excited to see brilliant content out there talking about this very thing. Tim Spector's Zoe, they've had vox pops out on the street asking men of the very first thing that they think about when they hear the word menopause, and their honest responses to what they think the symptoms are, which was really interesting. But also the amazing Davina McCall, how she's recently been talking about, well, actually not recently, a lot, she's been talking about this for a wee while now, about how she really sees herself as this brave, gregarious, robust woman, but all of a sudden started to feel really different, like she was a different person, like she was flatlining and just couldn't find the joy in life. And Carrie and I, we hear this from clients all the time going through this transition. So it's great news to see more people talking about the impact menopause has on, one, how we see ourselves, what we say to ourselves during this time, but also how we might be reflecting on others and our ability to communicate or not, and of course our relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Christian Northrup, fantastic writer, explains in her brilliant and bestseller book, which has been, I don't know, through how many iterations now, it's so popular, The Wisdom of Menopause, this stage of life is not all about the physical symptoms, although because they can be so debilitating, it's easy to get consumed in dealing with them as a priority. It's about dealing with what you want for the second half of your life. And as so many of our clients tell us, they literally feel like different people as they go through transition. And it makes perfect sense, therefore, that relationships suffer as women change. Now, in many cases, they're done with being the carer and sacrificing their own needs. And they may even feel resentful, contemptful of those who aren't supporting them, because they're dealing with so much else. It's hard to have patience, right? And to keep on giving when you're running on empty, you've got no joy in your life, and you're not sleeping. How then do you keep giving to others? So I want to give you some evidence. As with everything else that Pietra and I do, our work is evidence-based. Over 60% of over 60% of divorces are initiated by women in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, the menopause years, according to a really recent survey conducted by AARP magazine, 30th of May. Wow.
Yeah, wow. I mean, for some of you, you might be thinking, hey, this is a bit extreme. Whilst the menopause itself is not always the sole reason for perhaps a marriage breakup, but it can certainly bring to the fore issues and irritations, but also, some other things that have pre-existed for some time. Perimenopause and menopause can be a particularly challenging time for couples, since the physical, the mental, the emotional symptoms of menopause can be really overwhelming. Those going through it can be facing things like a lack of self-confidence, struggling to identify with their changing body, or even the fact that they're in denial about going through this change, perhaps anxiety and depression. So hence, inevitably, this impacts relationships, causing new issues or highlighting existing struggles as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's face it, relationships are everything, even the relationship with ourselves. So from my client load alone, I've got 4 women right now navigating this path. And the past 10 years of my coaching have been exactly the same. So if we don't face it, and if we don't start to join the dots to associate, oh, I'm feeling like this, and I'm angry all the time, and I'm not managing my emotions with this transition, and have that aha moment, then we can't deal with it emotionally head on, and our relationships are going to suffer, along with an increase in our physical symptoms, because that's going to exacerbate all of those. And we're going to feel unhappy and we're going to feel despairing. And the thing I see most, women don't know why they suddenly feel different. Although what I do see, yeah, and what I call their non-negotiables, yeah, their line in the sand has changed. They won't stand for those same things anymore.
Yeah, that's right. So this is what we're seeing, and I want to repeat it. Women don't know why they're suddenly feeling different. And you'll hear us say this a lot because it's true. So many women we've worked with don't associate their symptoms with the fact that they're going through a hormonal change. Because it can either creep up on us over time, or it can completely slap us in the face suddenly. So this stage of perimenopause, often we don't even identify with menopause. We just don't think it's going to happen to us. That's going to happen to someone else. So it's not until we're really suffering that we then start to pay attention.
Yeah. And it's because some of those symptoms, Pieta, let's face it, come left field, and no one in the past has associated that with a change in our sex hormones. So women in this stage don't stand for the same thing anymore. We're literally dealing with so much else. So we show up in a different way. You know, they won't dish themselves up last anymore. I know I didn't at this point. I won't any longer take the burnt toast, yeah, the little crumbs from the table. Or maybe we decide that actually I'm not even going to do the cooking anymore. This is all going to change in this house. We're going to redistribute what we do here. So we send some clear messages. This time now is about me. But because it's so different, because the last 20 years you've been the carer, you've put yourself last, you've done everything for everybody, and that's the way that we are built. That's our caring, feminine quality. Yeah, that's what we do. This can cause tension, resentment, and little or no communication, or communicating when we're angry, which is the worst. And we see something called the walk-away wife syndrome. Always reminds me of The Runaway Bride. I don't know if you've seen that one, where women become so dissatisfied with their lives and their traditional role that they just want to leave. The physical side of relationships change due to our physical changes that can be really hard to navigate and gives us low self-esteem. Let's call it out. Vaginal dryness, soreness, lack of pleasure, connection, ability to talk. So sex is not just physical. It requires, for most women I know, a mental connection. And this is often lost at this time.
So why? I mean, why is this happening? Well, there are so many reasons, obviously, that relationships can suffer and break down at this time. And let's be honest, as we're planning the second half of our life, maybe it's time for some big changes, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean divorce. But we also know that if we are able to feel in control of what is happening to our bodies and our minds and in full awareness, we can make purposeful decisions about how we want our life to look. And that's why we work at putting you at the epicenter of your circle of control at this time. That's both physically and mentally, and of course, emotionally too. So what can we do about it? Well, I've got my top three, and I know Carrie's got her top three. So my very first one is to start talking about it. Start describing what the hormone changes are feeling like for you. If you're beginning to have these aha moments, talk about it together. Help him or her understand. And we need to be able to share it's not just a woman's issue, share it together, because this will help you rebuild your trust and your communication as you share more honestly. I mean, just to give you a small example of something that's funny that's happened certainly in our household, with my hormonal changes, I do feel very sensitive to certain things. One in particular is eating noises. I have something called misophonia, which my husband was very happy to discover there is actually a name for it. And this is the hating, like the real deep passion or hating eating noises. That's of my kids, of my husband. Really wasn't funny at the time, I can tell you that right now. But we now find the sense of humor in it. And of course, we talk about it and they know when to give me space and whatnot. But the point is, what I'm trying to make is talking about it, the earlier you can talk about it, the better. The more open, your family are to understanding what's happening and, of course, how to support you. So that's just one example. But number two, top tip for me would be to actually get healthy and fit together, work out together, do healthy modalities together, this not only helps us feel better about ourselves physically, but it also improves our mood. And it also improves our desirability confidence in terms of, are we desirable? Because that's also part of the problem too. We don't feel desirable anymore. And number 3, men, if you're watching, I hope that you are, is not to be pushy for sex. It's a real turn off, particularly during this time. Practice offering more compliments and subtly build up to the event. But also understand that no means no. Wouldn't you agree, Carrie?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Look, so apart from, and this is part of everything that we're going to do with you, getting an understanding of where you are hormonally so that you can manage all those physical symptoms, there's a recognition that you have got to manage the emotional and the mental load that you're carrying just as importantly, if not more importantly, I'd say, yeah. But this is a big part of our work. So you've got to positively and constructively and rigorously manage these emotions and these symptoms. So first of all, for women, and you might not have done this for a long time, if ever, most of my clients haven't, I'd say draw up a clear list of your needs at this time, and then plan a conversation with your partner and ask your partner to do the same so that you know what you're trying to get out of this. I call this your needs outcomes. And be clear on that list of your non-negotiables. What do I mean by that? What you're prepared to go to the edge of. People can push you. And as you say, you're more likely to be triggered, Pieta, by different things in this stage. But I will not go beyond that. Because if I do go beyond that, I'm going to feel awful. You're going to get the brunt of it. So my non-negotiables, and I often get clarity on those with clients. And then I don't mind how you do it. We are going to do this with you as part of a piece of work. But if not, there's ways to do this that, sometimes you can start to do this online, but engage in a piece of work to understand your values. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to guarantee you that your values now at this point of your life are not what your values are in your 20s. And we must know our values in order to lead with self-awareness and to be able to manage our emotions and purposefully make decisions and feel in control. If we lead a life out of alignment with this part, which is our DNA, it's cut you open like a stick of rock, your values are written inside you. If we do, we'll feel frustrated. We will feel like we're drifting, and we will probably feel angry because we will allow others to bash our values around, and that leads to anger and resentment. And I'm going to reiterate again, I'm going to come to the physical relationship because it's part of good relationships. Manage it with care. Yeah, we need to feel sexy. We need to feel important. There's different things to try and different ways to go around this, but seek expert help if you need to. But find ways, and there are a range of ways of supporting that relationship. Finding balance means maybe looking at different ways to manage those symptoms, different products, different clothes. Yes, we can find things find our way around these things that sometimes seem like big barriers, but there is always another way. And remember, you have to communicate that sex at this point is a product of connection. It probably always has been. It's care and love. And prioritize care and love in your relationship outside sex as well. Yeah. Build on that first and you'll be okay.
Absolutely. It's just having that understanding between each other. I think huge connection upgrade to talk about it and to know that your partner really knows where you're at hormonally. Amazing. Thank you, Carrie. So if you haven't yet downloaded our Menopause Hormone Health 101 freebie, then click the link below. That's free for you. It's packed full of goodies to help you on your menopause journey. We've got a heap more, but this is just something free for you to enjoy. And we look forward to seeing you for our final video of this 6-part series, which is all about the brain. So we look forward to seeing you then. Awesome. Thanks, Carrie.